Welcome everybody to the latest episode of Football Meets Your ELF Star. I'm Matthias, like always, from the channel Football, and we give you all the information about new players and the league and the teams and everything. And I'm very, very happy and I'm hyped because I'm from Leipzig, like you all know. And my guest today is the newest quarterback for the Leipzig Kings, Jordan Barlow. Jordan, great that you made it.
So thank you for having me today. I'm excited.
Okay, the network or the net connection is a little bit bad, but Jordan and me figured out the longer and the more we talk, the better it gets. So Jordan, how are you doing today? It's a sunny day in Leipzig for everybody who doesn't know, but how did you enjoy the day so far? What did you do?
Yeah, it's been great. I woke up, got with a couple of the other guys that are local and had some free time today. We went out to the park and just, threw the ball around, got loose a little bit, workout with a few of the guys, and getting ready to do a little meeting tonight, get some studying in for the upcoming practices this weekend. It's been a great day. Couldn't ask for better weather.
Okay, and I guess you're already in your apartment or in like the import house, or because you have a nice arrangement back there, and I hope nobody concentrates too much on my dirty white wall here. So do you like it where you're at right now?
Yeah, it's been great. I got here about a week and a half ago and couldn't really get started yet. I think May 1st was the first day imports were allowed to do anything, but I got to kind of get accustomed to the living situation and the culture shock. This is my first time in Europe. So far, it's been great. I've loved it. I've really enjoyed the little bit of experience I've gotten to have so far. So yeah, it's been a great week and a half so far.
Awesome. So we always do the video the same way, where we want to find out a little bit about you. So maybe you can tell your audience, our audience, a little bit about you, where you're from, how tall you are, how much you weigh, and what else did I write down? I had something in particular. Okay, I forgot it right now, but I will ask you later.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so I am a quarterback. I'm 6'1", about 215 pounds right now. I am from Arkansas. I moved around schools a little bit and finished up at Southwestern Assemblies of God down in Texas, right outside of the Dallas, Texas area. So pretty much my whole life's been spent down in the southern part of the U.S. And yeah, it's been great. I love it down there, but I'm really excited to be over here for this season.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to talk about your football journey in particular, because you visited some schools in your life, right? Like high schools and colleges.
Yes.
How many total?
Yes. I bounced around to 4 different colleges, and I only went to 2 different high schools. But yeah, went to 2 different high schools and 4 colleges.
Okay. And what was the reason for moving so much or transferring too much? Was it about the football? Was it about personal stuff, or you want to talk about?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, growing up, my dad did some business. He was an attorney, did a whole lot of work. And then as I got into school, he started getting into coaching himself. And so I ended up moving a little bit when I was growing up because of his coaching and different things like that. So my sophomore year, I played, had a good time, played behind a really good quarterback that ended up signing Division I. And then my junior and senior year, I moved back to my original hometown, finished out. We had a really good time. Not quite the record we wanted, but we really had a good time playing together. Offense did some great things, and we got to spend a lot of time with some lifelong friends. So that was a great time. I went to college my freshman year and redshirted, and it just didn't work out. The scheme didn't quite fit how I was wanting to play. And to be 100% honest, I feel like I was a young kid that had a lot of growing up to do. That was a great experience to kind of sit out and learn the things that I needed to develop, get in the weight room, how to handle myself, how to practice even more outside of the scheduled team practices, things like that. So I learned a lot there. I went to a junior college and played there for a year. Good experience, got to learn a little bit. It was a whole different culture. It was actually an HBCU, which is a historically Black college. So I was actually the only white person on campus, which is it was a little bit different, but it was a great time. I got to really explore a different cultural experience in that school, but I absolutely loved it, and I'm very thankful for it, and I grew a lot that year. I then went to Division II Lindenwood University, and had a great time there, met some great coaches. Everybody on the coaching staff was great. I still keep in contact with them occasionally. Had some great roommates, teammates, really learned a lot there. I went in there with a little bit of an open quarterback competition and then had shoulder surgery right before the season started. So yeah, I ended up missing that season. It was a rough deal. While I sat out in rehab, the guy that started was a freshman that year, and he absolutely killed it. He is going on, I don't even know what he's at now, probably his junior, senior year. He got hurt this past season, so he missed a little bit. I'm not sure how that's going to count, but yeah, no, he's been absolutely killing it. That was a year for me to really develop physically, got in a great weight program there. I learned a lot from my coaches, and then ended up my last 2 years at Southwestern Assemblies of God. Yeah, I talked to Coach Smith, the head coach there, Ryan Smith, and he is a great guy off the field. And then his football mind on the field was a great fit for my talent, my skills, what I like to do. And yeah, it was absolutely great. It was a great fit. I feel like there's a reason I ended up at all those places, and I didn't really know why the journey took so long, but I feel like every stop prepared me to get where I am today.
Well, that sounds a lot. That sounds very positive, to be honest. Like, I mean, if I imagine like bouncing around from school to school, you know, there is a lot to adjust, like from year to year, and you seem to like cope with it pretty well. But are there like highlights or lowlights, or would you say like there was a stop during your journey which would be like the most disappointing, or maybe also for yourself? I think you mentioned it a little bit, like first year in college. And what was the highlight year for you, probably?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot. There's a lot. Every school that I went to, every team that I was on had a lot of really good things that it brought, but it also had a lot of challenges. I feel like my first year especially was very challenging, just needing to grow up. You go in as a 19-year-old kid playing with, 24-year-olds on the same team, and I was not ready. And not just on the football field, I needed to develop. I knew I was redshirting going in. There's a great quarterback ahead of me that I was able to learn from. But I think more of the mental aspect, as far as doing the extra stuff, doing all the extra film watching, getting in the weight room extra, finding my receivers and going and throwing extra, learning how to eat properly. I mean, there's a bunch of little things like that that I just didn't know when I needed to grow from. And so as challenging as it was not getting to play, after being, everybody is kind of the man in high school, I got to start every game, really kind of be the leader of the team captain, and then going in and sitting out a year is tough. Yeah. But I feel like it helped me grow up a lot, and then I absolutely loved being at Lindenwood. That was a great experience. I met a few people there that I feel like are very close friends that I talk to all the time. Met a lot of great football players, but a lot of great guys off the field as well. The coaching staff was incredible. They really helped me grow up and kind of shape what I want to do with my life and what kind of man I want to be. And then, but this last 2 years at SAGU has definitely been the highlight. Not just being on the field and being successful, we broke a lot of records, we won a lot of football games, but also developing those friendships, having the mentorship of Coach Smith. He's one of the best guys I've met. He's a great leader. He's a great father, husband, coach. He does absolutely everything around there. I don't know how he does it all the time, to be honest. He's always going nonstop, but that's definitely somebody I look up to and was able to learn from a lot on and off the field. And then winning a lot of games on top of that just made it better.
Yeah, I mean, I look at some stats. I think in the last 2 years, you had like almost 4,500 passing yards. 592 rushing yards is not bad. We will talk about like that style of yours a little bit later. 50 touchdowns in 19 games in the last 2 seasons. That's incredible.
Yes, sir.
It's a lot of fun I can be excited about because I'm living here. So
yes, sir, definitely.
You also won the Victory Bowl, right?
Yes, sir.
And you were crowned the most outstanding offensive player. What can you tell us about that game? What is still in your memory about that? Like against who and how did it went?
Yeah, so we played Sterling College out of Kansas. They're a very good team. They had a good year. They won a handful of games in a very tough conference. They came down to us and played us at home. So that was great, getting to have another game in front of our home fans. Our school does a great job putting out broadcast online with our announcers, with our replays, video. I mean, all that stuff is incredible. And so that was a great experience just having that. We also, before the bowl game, got to have a like dinner and I guess project to help out the community. So we actually went to like a campground, and they have all of these, there's a whole campsite with different housing and dorms and things like that. And we got to go kind of clean everything up, pick up trash, sweep everything off, do all that kind of stuff, and then have a dinner with the other team and kind of get to know everybody. It was a really neat experience. Then we go play, and I feel like every game last year, our offense just kept clicking better and better and better. We started out doing well, but we lost a couple games early and not just missing a few little things. And I feel like every game we just kept taking off. The last game I feel like was my best overall game. I was very efficient. A lot of that is thanks to my teammates as well and how much better we got together. But yeah, no, that was an exciting game to go win. We got to come home, got a ring early in the spring before I came over here. So it was a very exciting time.
What was the score? You still remember?
I honestly don't have a clue. I cannot remember.
Okay. But we just call it dominance. It was a great game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we played real well.
So you played at high school, at college, and now you will play at pro. For quarterback, I mean, a quarterback is a like very important position. Some think the most important position, especially when you look at the NFL.
Yes, sir.
What would you say are different things quarterbacks, when you play quarterback, have to adjust when they change from high school to college or from college to pro? What would you say?
Yeah, I think the number one thing and the most obvious thing is the speed of the game. High school, you know, you've had a lot of great players, but they're not supposed to be recruited. It's kind of just wherever you live is how it's divided. Then you go to college and everybody's a recruited athlete. Everybody that you're playing against is on scholarship and being paid to go to school there. And so the game speeds up a whole lot. You're playing against a whole lot of very, very talented athletes. And then as you get into professional, you know, I've yet to play my first game, but I can already tell from practices, from film we've watched, it just continues to get faster. These guys are dedicating a whole lot of time. And it's the best of the best, you know, and so we're playing against extreme athletes. We have multiple guys on our team right now that got into NFL camps, spent some time playing in the NFL, and it's just, you're playing with very high level athletes. That's the most obvious difference. Obviously with that, as a quarterback comes more responsibility to prepare the game. I mean, football is still football. Nobody's coming up with new plays, really. Nobody's coming up with different schemes. I mean, in football is football. It's been invented, but you have to come up with new ways to prepare. There's a whole lot more film that goes in as you get to higher levels. Defenses are going to, they're faster, so you have to be faster making your decisions, but also they find ways to disguise things and hide what coverage they're trying to play. And so you really have to be prepared. And that's the biggest thing is that, you know, the game speeds up, but your mental aspect really has to speed up as well.
Yeah, especially for a quarterback. And then with it comes the leadership role, I guess, which you also have to perform in like most of the cases, right? Okay, but you talked about a topic or you mentioned like paid to study there, but there was a change, I think this year or last year, that college players now get paid in a certain way, and there's this word NIL like always floating around. So maybe for people who don't know too much about it, can you tell us a little bit about that change, what you know? Because I think college players never got paid. It was outrageous because they have to practice a lot and dedicate a lot to the sport, and now it's possible. Or maybe you can tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so NIL stands for name, image, and likeness. And basically what they're saying is, you know, back in the day when guys were playing, the NCAA would pay for their school. They give them scholarships, things like that. And they felt like that should be enough. Because they're paying for your school, you should come, you should put in this extra time, work hard, and play and represent your university. And that should be enough. There was also a lot of uproar because the NCAA is $1 billion industry. They make a ton of money. They've got television deals. They're selling a ton of merchandise. And most of that, if not, I guess all of that, is because of these athletes. If these athletes don't put the time in and put a show on with football every Saturday, the NCAA is not making any money off of that. So athletes felt like they were not being compensated fairly. And, you know, it goes back and forth. I feel like there's definitely some room for compensation. A lot of athletes, you know, put a lot of time in on top of the schoolwork and the GPA that they have to maintain to even be eligible to play. A lot of them have to work jobs and find ways to pay for their food, to pay for all this other stuff, if they're not being paid through NIL. But also, you're talking about guys are risking their health. I mean, going out and playing, this is a violent sport. A lot of people get injured, and you have to go, you know, that may change the whole kind of future that you have. And if you haven't made any money off of that, that's tough. So what a lot of guys were doing is they go play in college and then get out and go to the NFL as fast as possible to make that money. And so they were also, I think another realization is that when these guys are getting out of college so fast, they're not having time to graduate, you know, so they're only there for a year or two. They don't complete their degree. So when football ends in their professional career, they don't really have a whole lot to fall back on to go get another job. And so I think this NIL deal, I'm excited because I think it does a lot of great things. I think it compensates these players more adequately. I think that it gives them some incentive to stay in school for an extra year or two and get their degree and have something to fall back on if they are injured, or if their career doesn't quite last as long as you want. But I also think there's some issues with it right now. Guys are being offered a ton of money to go play. I mean, there's a guy right now that's in the transfer portal, and he's being offered more to go to a college than he would to get drafted at where he's predicted in the NFL. So it's, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a lot of talk right now. They're trying to find ways to kind of control how much spending can be, because what they don't want is for it to be a recruiting deal where, okay, well, this university can pay X amount and this university can pay X amount, and whoever pays the most gets the better players, because that kind of runs the landscape of college football. And you're going to have a few very dominant programs that have more money. And so I think that it'll be good when they find a way to kind of keep that in check. I fully support that they are paying athletes, but I do think that there needs to be some kind of limitations and rules and guidelines in place to make it where they are fairly paid, but not being paid so much that it's kind of changing the whole game.
Yeah, especially because you don't want to, like, small colleges to die out, you know, that they cannot afford it at all, and don't have good teams. I mean, you have basically there are some dominant teams like for ages now, right? Like if you think of Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, whatever. What do you think about USC? Is the receiver, or is the guy you talked about, like the guy who might go to USC as a receiver?
Yeah, and so I haven't read into it a big deal, but I know he's in the transfer portal. He was looking at the being signed in the NFL, but I think he's actually going to get paid more if he goes to USC, which is just insane. And I think that's what the whole thing that they're trying to avoid. They want to compensate this guy. He's a great athlete. He's putting a lot of time in. He's risking his body and his health, and they want to give him incentive to stay in school. But at the same time, you don't want it to be just, the highest bidder gets the best players, because then you're going to have an even more dominant landscape to where these smaller teams cannot compete at that level. It's just not possible because they don't have the funding, and that's not what you want to do.
All right. Okay, let's shift to this. I wear the right shirt today.
There we go.
Football, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Let's talk a little bit about the European League of Football, because you made the call to go there. My question first: when was the first time you thought about, or you heard about the ELF, and you thought about might be a good spot for me? And why did you decide to go ultimately? Because I think you've never been to Europe before, right? And it's a huge step.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. So I had a coach last year that was our running back coach. He had coached at a few different places overseas in Poland, Spain. I'm not even sure where else, throughout Germany. He's been in a bunch of different places. And so he kind of opened that door to showing me all the possibilities that are out there to play after your sport ends. And he was talking about the ELF and how quickly it was growing in its first year, and the potential that it had to really take off and be a very, very elite league. Yeah. And so I was excited all last season. I ended up playing all season. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. I had some arena contract offers. I ended up talking to a different team actually in the ELF and I doubt many people know about that, but I was really close to signing. I thought it was going to go well, but there were just some things that did not work out. And so I ended up moving on. I did a tryout with a team in the X League in Japan, and they called me and offered me a spot, and everything went well. I thought I might end up there. And then I talked to Coach Armstrong and Michael Birdsong right when he was kind of on the verge of that retirement, and heard about his decision. And, that's when I really felt good about this. After talking to Coach Armstrong, I think everybody that's on this team will tell you that Coach Armstrong is a very, very good talker and recruiter. He knows what to say, but he also is one of those people that you can believe him. He knows exactly what to say, but he's also going to go out of his way to do everything he can to make this the best experience for you. And then, I got to meet Coach Booker after that, our OC now, and he does a great job with it. He takes care of everything right now. Coach Kent is going to come in and do great for us. And then Moritz, our owner now, he is very hands-on. He takes care of everything. And so after talking to all these guys, I felt like it was a place I was supposed to end up. It's a great opportunity for me to grow my game, develop my game, showcase my abilities. And I got to step into a team that has a whole lot of weapons offensively and defensively, and are trending in the right direction. I think we're going to do some really big things.
Well, you answered a lot of questions I wrote down already, because that's not the first time I hear that Coach Fred Armstrong is a good recruiter. And I wondered myself, why? Because he's authentic, obviously. That seems like the main reason, right?
Yes. He's very upfront and open about things. And I think that is good. You can kind of tell, you can get a vibe when you're dealing with like a car salesman and he's just telling you what you want to hear. Oh, yeah. But with Coach Armstrong, he's very, very authentic, and he's telling you what you want to hear, but he also means it. And he's not lying to you and trying to fill you up with all this hope, then just, drop the bottom out. He fulfills everything that he talks to you about. And so it's easy to understand that he's trying to do the best for his guys, and it makes you want to be one of his guys. And then talking to Michael, he was able to kind of tell me even more about Coach Armstrong and how much support he had for Coach Armstrong. And that made me feel really good as well.
Okay, before we talk a little bit more about Michael, and I don't want to talk too much about car salesmen. I drive a Toyota for ages now, and I will never leave my car salesman from Toyota.
Of course.
It's a reliable car. So
hey, there you go.
I have to ask, what was it the other team you talked to?
I had been in talks with the Rhine Fire a little bit. Okay. Just kind of early on, before I even had spoken to Coach Armstrong, and just, things went a little different, and they had some connections and things went a different way, and there's no hard feelings. I talked to their coach, occasionally they texted me and said congratulations when they found out I signed with the Kings, and I think this is the spot I'm supposed to be at. But yeah, it was a funny little story that I was in talks with them a few months ago.
It's also very unpredictable what this team will look like or how they will perform. We sometimes do our power rankings, and we have some facts we can rely on from last season, but so many players are new. So it's basically a surprise again, and
yeah, I agree.
I hope it would be a great surprise in Leipzig. But it doesn't come as a surprise too much if you win a lot of games, because in the off season, the Kings stepped up big time, and it was not just you. I mean, if you look at the defense, and if these high standard guys, AJ Wendland or Bombeck who came, it's pretty amazing what Coach Armstrong built there. So, but Michael left, and so you have to fill these shoes, and especially he was very beloved here because his leadership skill, and so is it a lot of pressure to fill these shoes, or are you excited about it, or what was your feeling about it?
Yeah, I am excited. I think there is a lot of pressure there, and that's what excites me so much. I feel like that's kind of what I love about sports, is that pressure, and it really just it excites me. It's a rush of adrenaline thinking about it. I think Coach came in and he got some really big name guys. And the good thing is we have some leadership on the team, bringing in a couple of guys who have been around, and then having like McCants was coaching last year, and now he's stepping into a player role this year. Having Davle come back, we have a lot of guys that have a little more experience than me, and they can pass that along to me and kind of teach me and show me the ways that things are going. But as a quarterback, you're naturally supposed to step into that leadership role. You're given that command over the offense. And I've done a lot of coaching. You know, I've coached basketball, football. I do a lot of coaching with weight training and things like that. And so I've kind of found my command and my coaching voice in that. And I feel like I do a pretty good job with that and have stepped in and are doing really well with the guys. I think it's important that I'm able to lead vocally as well as by example. You know, I can't just tell people what to do and then not do it myself. I think it's very important that I lead by example and take care of my business. And as I do that, I can help bring people along and make sure we're all on the same page. And so, yeah, I think there's big shoes to fill, but I'm really excited to try to fill those this season.
Well, you have a 2-year contract already, right? So
yes, sir.
It will just not be for 1 year. And I think fans in Leipzig, they like loyalty. They like people who like give it their all on the field, you know. And I don't know if you heard too much about the fans last year, but for a new team, I was really impressed when I went to the game against Hamburg, which was like a big defeat, and they were still cheering.
Yeah.
So everybody had good words about the Leipzig fans, and I think you can be really excited about it because you come over as a very humble and reflected guy. So I really appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
But we have to talk about your playing style as well. And so how would you describe your own play style as a quarterback? Because for people who watch football, I mean, there are pocket passes like Michael Birdsong, who doesn't walk or run. I said walk. Okay. He will hate me for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but are you a running quarterback?
I would say I'm definitely a mix of both. This past season, I started running the ball a lot more. We run a lot of, like in college the last couple of years, we ran what I would consider a spread option system. So we had a lot of, every single play, we had a running back run, a quarterback run, and a pass play called. So there was a lot of freedom within the offense to see what the defense was doing and find a way to exploit it. I don't think that they can cover everybody on the field every single play. And so it's important that everybody's a weapon every play, or a possibility to get the ball. And so I'm not going to go run, you know, like a running back. I'm not going to go break a bunch of 80-yard runs, and I'm not going to run for 300 yards a game, but I will run when I need to. I do well moving in the pocket and escaping. I enjoy zone reads and running. I do have trouble, you know, sliding and going out of bounds. I tend to like to be physical when I run, and, you know, I'm learning to be smart with that. There are some times, I guess, that you can be physical when you run and find ways to bounce off and fight for those extra few yards. But there are also times when it's smart just to go down. And so, you know, I'm learning that. But at the end of the day, I want to win. So I'm running to win. I'm throwing to win. I'm doing whatever I can to help our team win. And so I enjoy throwing a lot of quick game, a lot of RPO stuff, and a lot of run. And so I feel like there's a good little mix in there. You're not going to see me just stand in the pocket and not move the whole game, but you're also not going to see me run it 25 times. I think there's going to be a good mix.
All right. Okay, so that's it for my basic questions. And at the end of the interview, we always do quick questions. I have prepared 10, which will not all be football related. And you have to answer them pretty quickly and pretty shortly. And let's start with number 1. What was the best meal you had in Germany so far?
The first night I was here, I had cured pork knuckle. It was incredible.
What again?
Pork knuckle. The first night I was here, I had that new.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I will find the translation. Wait, knuckle is the.
Yeah, that's what it was called. I don't know. It was called cured pork knuckle. It was very, very good.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Which NFL team you can't stand and why?
I don't know. There's not really anybody. I'm from down south, and everybody loves the Cowboys. So a lot of that does get on my nerves and drives me a little bit crazy. So I would probably have to go with the Cowboys. Just a little too much for me.
Okay. They win the Super Bowl this year. Again, not. So
yeah, of course, every year.
So what drink do you like, but not necessarily tell everybody?
I have no idea. I stick to water a whole lot, but my weak spot is definitely Mountain Dew. I love a good Mountain Dew. It's not the healthiest thing, but I really enjoy it.
I think you can get that here too, like in some
Yeah.
bars or stores. What would you say is your biggest strength on the field and a weakness, or also a weakness you want to improve?
Yeah, I feel like my biggest strength is probably my mental game, my decision making quick decisions. The biggest thing I want to improve is probably my overall speed. That's one thing I'm working on right now, is having that speed to get into the open field and break away and be even more of a run threat.
Okay, so what kids movie also adults should definitely watch and enjoy?
Oh gosh, there are so many. I'm a huge movie buff. I have no idea. I don't even know where to start.
Okay, so think of the first which comes to your mind, the cartoon movie or something you really like.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of some, man. I don't even know. I have no idea. I haven't watched any in a while, but I love movies so much, so I don't even know where to start.
All right, okay, at least you admit that you watch kids movie like I do too, and I'm over 30, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll watch any movie.
Who is the funniest so far from the King's locker room you met?
Uh, Probably Mike. Mike's a very funny guy. I enjoy spending time around. He never takes anything too serious. He gets in and does his work, but he has a good time while he's doing it. And so I like being around Mike.
Mike Tavares or?
Yes, Tavares.
Okay. What quarterback currently in the NFL do you admire and why?
Probably Mahomes. I like his style of the game. He does some things that are considered off-platform throws that look awkward, and he makes them look normal, but he's kind of changing the game and how quarterback is played, and I really like it. And kind of try to imitate that a little bit.
I'm sorry, I gotta say, you also like the haircut of him, I think. So
yeah, I get that a lot. Yeah.
But the beard is more like Cooper Cupish, I think. So
yeah, for sure. That's true.
What was the most odd thing about Europe or Germany, what you witnessed so far? Like what was like kind of like weird to you?
Yeah, okay. So I got to go to a soccer game like the first couple days I was here. And in America, alcohol, beer, none of that is legal until you're 21 years old. So seeing people at a soccer game that are like 16, 18, whatever age they were, drinking like with their parents was just a surprise. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's illegal, but just compared to America, that threw me for a loop. I'm not used to it.
Question number 9, your pump up music, Jordan, which you will bring to the King's locker room. Can you name us a song or an artist about that?
Yeah, it depends. I typically listen to some kind of hip hop or something to kind of get ready. And then right before the game, I like to kind of slow it back down, get the heart rate down and recover. One song that kind of took over our whole team last year was Neon Moon. It's a country song. And so that's kind of what really got us going this time last year. And it'll probably carry over to this year's season.
Are you a good singer?
Not really.
Okay, I don't make you sing right now, but is it the song, If You Lose the One and Only?
Yes.
There's only room left for the lonely. I know that song.
Yep, it's a great song. And, it's my last school was right outside of Dallas, Fort Worth. And so, yeah, it fit really well for our team.
Nice. All right. And number 10. Oh, before we go to number 10, because it's the last question, did you think of any kids movie? Now is your last chance. You can give the audience a suggestion.
Yeah, there's a ton of them, but one that really sticks out would probably be The Sandlot. Growing up, it was like kind of an athlete movie, but like a young kid movie, and I really enjoyed it.
The Sandlot.
Yeah, baseball movie.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good one.
So we're talking about football though, and question number 10 is always the same. American football is the best sport in the world because, finish the sentence.
I think because it's a true team sport. You need all 11 guys on the team or on the field working together at the same time. And, that just doesn't quite happen with every other sport. Football truly requires everybody on your team to be on the same page. And I think that really sets it apart.
All right, Jordan, thank you very much for the time you had today. I guess the whole league and the Kings fans especially can be very excited to have you in the league and the Kings as your new quarterback. Now is the chance for you to give a shout out to your new Kings fans or to anyone you want to give greetings to, maybe also at home, your family, which let you go here for a couple months, you know, to live your dream in Europe. So the stage is yours. Thank you very much from my side.
Yeah, I'm loving being over here. I'm thankful for a family and a girlfriend that really support me and are supporting my journey. Hopefully they'll get to come over and catch a game. I have heard great things about the Kings fans, received a lot of love on social media from the Kings fans. And so I'm just really looking forward to seeing everybody out at the first home game, feeling that support, that love from everybody. And I think you're going to be happy with what you see on the field.